The soju you are pouring right now was never invented in Korea, and the green bottle it comes in is far younger than you would ever guess. It looks like centuries of tradition, but the real story is short, sharp, and a little strange. Follow that single glass back with me, and you will see what it actually is. On the table where pork belly sizzles, and in the quiet glass you pour alone at night, the green bottle is always there. So we have come to believe this drink is a traditional liquor Koreans have brewed for centuries. But this green color, this taste, this way of making it, are they really that old? The truth is, today's soju is quite a different drink from the soju of 100 years ago, and even further from the soju of 700 years ago. Let us slowly unravel where that difference came from. To understand where soju was born, we have to look beyond the Korean peninsula. Distillation, the craft of boiling a drink, catching its vapor, and gathering it back into liquid, was not invented on this land. That craft crossed a very long road from somewhere far away before it ever reached Korea. Let us walk back along that road one step at a time. Soju is not a Korean invention. It arrived as a guest from the Arab world by way of Mongolia. The roots of distillation, the art of boiling liquor to make it stronger, reach all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia. In 1258, when Mongol armies tore down Baghdad, they seized the refined distillation methods of the Arab world. As they rode across the steppe, they carried this strange new craft eastward on horseback, and at the far end of that road stood Goryeo, the kingdom that would become Korea. Distillation reached Goryeo through the Mongols in the late 13th century. Gyeseong and Andong, Jinro and Jeju, the towns most famous for soju, were all places where Mongol troops once camped. What is fascinating is that this distant birth still lives inside the Korean language. In the Pyongan region, people called soju arangju, and in Gyeseong they called it arakju. And these words are faint traces of arak, the Arabic word for liquor. The name itself carries the secret of that birth. Soju is written with the character for burning, and the character for liquor, so it literally means burned liquor. Steam rises from the boiling pot, touches the cold lid, and gathers like dew, and those drops become soju. Much later, the ro in the brand name Jinro is the very character that means that dew. There was once an age of real distilled soju, brewed from grain, boiled slowly, and caught drop by drop. In 1924, a small brewery opened its doors in Yonggang, in what is now North Korea. The liquor born there was Jinro, and its strength was a remarkable 35%. It was a heavy drink made by brewing rice and barley themselves, and distilling them with patience. It wore a very different face from the smooth green bottle we know today. But this grain liquor carried one serious weakness: it ate rice. In the 1960s, Korea was a poor country that did not have enough rice even to feed everyone. When there was barely rice for the dinner table, boiling that precious grain into liquor was something the state could not bear. And in 1965, the government made a momentous decision. In 1965, the Korean government made real soju illegal. A law called the Grain Management Act banned the brewing of liquor from rice and other grains. Except for exports, soju distilled from grain could no longer be sold anywhere inside the country. Breaking the law brought heavy punishment, and the distilleries that brewed liquor from grain shut their doors one after another. The age of real soju that had run since 1924 came to a sudden halt. This was not simply about banning one drink in an era of factories running on cheap labor. Keeping the price of rice low was a great task for the nation. Brewing liquor from rice would push rice prices up, so the government under then-leader Park Chung-hee simply closed that path entirely. And so a policy meant to hold down the price of rice turned the soju we drink from a grain liquor into something else entirely. What filled the empty space left by grain, distilled soju, was diluted soju. First, inside enormous tanks, a neutral spirit of over 95% purity is produced. Then water is poured in and sweet additives are mixed to lower the strength, and the drink is finished. Because the process was so simple, by the early 1970s, more than 400 soju factories sprang up like weeds. The green bottle soju we drink today was born in exactly this way. So what is that neutral spirit in your glass? Actually made from cheap starches like sweet potato molasses and tapioca are the main ingredients. One set of statistics showed tapioca making up nearly half of all diluted soju ingredients. The strength kept softening too, falling to 25% in 1973. and to 23% by 1998, light and clean, instead of the weight of grain that became the face of today's soju. Thankfully, this story does not end only in rupture. In 1977, Korea finally grew enough rice to feed itself, and grain began to pile up in the storehouses. With no reason left to ban grain liquor, distilled soju was quietly allowed again from 1991. And in 1995, the Grain Management Act was revised and real soju officially came home. But the distilled soju that returned simply took a quiet place on premium shelves. The green bottle we pour most often at the table, even now, is still the diluted kind. So once you know what is inside the glass, it is time to look at the bottle holding it, because that green color too hides a short history we never knew. The green bottle you call tradition was born in 1994. Before that, soju bottles were usually clear or a pale brown. In 1994, one company aiming at Seoul and the capital region released a soju called Green in a clean-looking green bottle. And as that fresh green color caught fire, other soju makers changed their bottles to green one after another. Even that green color is really a shade settled by agreement. Around 2009, the major soju companies joined hands to share a single bottle. They chose the bottle of the best-selling company as a common bottle and agreed to use it together. That is why the green bottles on your table today look so identical to one another. A craft carried from the Arab world, a distilled tradition, broken and then returned, and a green coat put on in 1994. The single glass you pour holds a story far longer and deeper than the one word tradition could ever contain.